Hello, everyone. I am Brett Okamoto from ESPN. I am joined with Marc, who is also from ESPN. We are back on the YouTube channel to give you an update from all of the happenings at UFC 266 Fight Week here in Las Vegas. Marc, we had a good evening last night. We were at the red carpet. You took a photo with Jon Jones. He seemed to be in good spirits. He gave you an update about everything that's going on. He accepted an award for his amazing fight against Alexander Gustafsson. And then what happened? What can you tell us about what Jon is going through right now?
So at about 5:45 a.m. Friday morning, just hours after he accepted the induction into the UFC Hall of Fame for his fight against Alexander Gustafsson, the first fight, he was arrested. Jon Jones was arrested in Las Vegas at a resort on the Strip and Flamingo Road. And the charges are domestic violence, battery, and tampering or injury or the injury of a vehicle, which is actually a felony charge. And right now, as we do this, Jon Jones is currently in the Clark County Detention Center, and he has a bail of $8,000, and he's still there, and he's supposed to appear in court on Saturday at Las Vegas Justice Court to face those charges. It's his first appearance. I don't think he'll be giving a plea during that appearance, but he will be appearing in court. At least he's scheduled as of while we're talking.
And I imagine at that time, at least he hopes that he would be out of jail and he would be released at that point.
Yeah, he's on $8,000 bail right now, and he's on a 12-hour hold. So I think that even this evening he would be able to be released from jail, but he was allowed to be in court, of course, in Las Vegas on Saturday afternoon.
This might be really early for you, Marc. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but do you know what kind of penalty those types of charges come with?
I don't know. I mean, the $8,000 bail does not sound like a lot, Brett. It doesn't sound like it's an overly excessive amount of bail, which usually kind of gives an indication of the severity of the charges. But I don't want to speculate. There's still a lot that we don't know about the situation, and I have a request in with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department about what actually happened. What is the narrative of these events? Because we always need to find out exactly what it was. Because yes, we know that he's being charged with things, but you know how things go. Innocent until proven guilty. We don't know what happened. So I want to find out a lot more about what happened with Jon Jones in between the Hall of Fame ceremony, which was in this building, and when he showed up in custody just a few hours later.
Well, let me ask you one more thing. And again, this is probably putting you on the spot a little bit, but you were with him. You spoke to him last night. I guess the question that I have for you is, how shocked were you when you found out about this? And just can you tell us what was it like being around Jon last night? And again, it seemed like he was having fun with the media. It seemed like he was happy to see people. He had not seen or given interviews for a long time. Just kind of walk us through the vibe that you were getting from him last night.
Great vibes. Great vibes. I mean, he was smiling. He was having fun. He was answering every question with no problem. It seemed like he was happy to be there. He was with his family. He was joking around with me because of our very stark height difference. He kind of
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Believe it or not, yeah. He at one point he bent down to get closer to my height, and it was all fun and games, and it was good to see him. He seemed like he was in great spirits. And then a few hours later, we know now that he was arrested. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of. Yeah.
Well, obviously a developing story. We will continue to monitor. Marc is all over it, and man, it just it is almost ironic, right? I mean, he's here for a Hall of Fame ceremony, and you hope that the guy has moved past some of the personal issues that has really kind of threatened to derail his career in numerous positions. Hopefully this one does not do so. But let's now move on to UFC 266, the action behind us. We're about to see the weigh-in, the ceremonial weigh-in, but we saw the weigh-in this morning, the official weigh-in. Any takeaways for you? What were the biggest things that you noticed this morning?
Well, I want to shout out Dan Hooker and Nasrat Haqparast because both of them only arrived in Las Vegas last night, on Thursday night, and they still cut weight, and they both made it. And Dan Hooker even spoke to the media before the official weigh-in started. So he wasn't even in a bad place as far as his weight cut. He did a whole media scrum before he weighed in, and they both weighed in perfectly, and they're going to fight on Saturday. Incredible story. Hooker coming from all the way from New Zealand, with the time change, the jet lag, cutting weight, and he was in great spirits this morning. So super impressive.
Level of professionalism, commitment, and also just the fact that he took this fight. If you know the circumstances around this fight, it's hard to book a quarantine time back in New Zealand. So he's like, hey, I got to fight on this card. They couldn't really find him an opponent that was ranked inside the top 10. So he was even ready and willing to fight somebody who was much lower ranked just because he's like, this is the only time I can fight. So a lot of respect for Dan Hooker, a lot of respect for Nasrat Haqparast. Looking forward to that fight. How about Nick Diaz? Of course, Nick has been at the center of a lot of attention this week. He stepped up on the scale. What did you think of how he looked?
I thought he looked fairly normal on the scale. I didn't think he looked any different or worse. I think that he looked like he was in good shape. I wouldn't say he was in great shape. We saw him during that photo shoot that was surfaced on Twitter the other day, and he didn't look like he was in the best shape. But I thought he looked fine on the scale. And then again, as we spoke about at the Hall of Fame when we spoke on Thursday night, I'm not as concerned as other people are. I really do think that when Nick Diaz gets in there, he'll be okay.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Last thing for you, Marc, we're about 24 hours away. What is the one thing you are looking forward to most at UFC 266?
That's a really hard question because there are a lot of great fights. Of course, Volkanovski defending his title against Brian Ortega, Valentina Shevchenko on the card against Lauren Murphy. But, I mean, I would be lying, Brett, if I said that I wasn't most interested in seeing how Nick Diaz looks. After 6 years, he's still one of the most popular fighters in the UFC. Imagine he goes out and he beats Robbie Lawler, or he finishes Robbie Lawler. We could be talking about an enormous fight in 2022 for Nick Diaz all of a sudden. Or, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Brett, we could be talking about a tragic loss where Robbie Lawler goes out and kind of dispatches Nick with relative ease. I lean more toward the beginning or maybe something in the middle, but I'm just super curious to see what happens. What about you?
Yeah, no, I went into this week and I wrote a column a week ago saying the #1 fights I was looking forward to the rest of the year, and Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovski was #1 on my list just because I have so much respect for what Alex does, how professional he is. If you're going to beat this guy, you got to be at the very, very top of your game. But I just wonder if Brian is, man. I mean, he's coming in a little bit of a mystery. Only fought once in the last 3 years. Made all the changes that he has. So I'm so intrigued by that main event. But after sitting down with Nick this week and really getting the weight of sort of what he's going through, it's just going to determine so much about his next move, the rest of his life, quite frankly, how he looks in this fight. So I got to say, if I'm being honest, on Saturday, I will probably be on the edge of my seat the most when Nick Diaz walks to that octagon, and that is not a new feeling. So that's it for us, UFC 266. Again, coming up real quick, we will be there, and we'll go through everything that happens tomorrow night. Come back to the YouTube channel and relive it with us.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.